Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham, and a very rare thing indeed yesterday, a comfortable win for Tottenham. 4-0, clean sheet, Aurier creating assists, Bale with a hat-trick and Kane not having a goal or an assist to his name. We had Son pinging one in off the post, Dele back, and everything looking rosy for 90 minutes again. But then we've got to talk about the manager situation. Who are we going to get? Why is it taking so long? Will anything change with a new manager, being that Jose couldn't get Levy to change his mind? So all that and more. So let's chat the lesser spotted comfortable win.
So I don't really know how to start today. We haven't had a win like this for quite a while, a comfortable little win. But very welcome it was too. I know it's only against Sheffield United, and no disrespect to them, but they're completely lacking confidence. You saw that with McGoldrick when he put the cross in. Brewster just literally stands there, whereas you look at Harry Kane and Son and Bale are bursting a gut to get onto the end of things. They're already down, but sometimes when a team is already down, the pressure's off, and then they're able to kind of relax and play a little bit and cause some problems. I mean, why he didn't start in the final, I'll never know. 5 goals in his last 4 games. Doesn't start the final and then comes on with, I think, about 20 minutes left, how we could have done with him in that. But let's talk about this game. That's what this episode is about, rather than finals and games that we've lost and disappointments and things like that. So first goal, good movement. We'll come to Serge Aurier in a little bit because he had a massive part in the game and that goal as well. But yeah, why wasn't he playing in the final? I said I wouldn't go into that, but I can only assume it's because this game we were expected to be attacking and Man City we weren't, and needed to be more disciplined. But on this form, if Bale can stay fit and Madrid allow him to go on loan again, I don't see it, and the finances are correct, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be trying to get him back. If he can, someone said, he only does it against the rubbish teams, but, the teams that we normally struggle against. So if he's scoring hat-tricks or 2 goals against the weaker teams when we normally struggle, then I'm all for bringing him back. He looks to be enjoying himself again. Whether the love has gone out, I don't know. We'll see that after the Euros, won't we? But yeah, I mean, the first goal, lovely touch. You could see him look. Second goal, brilliant play by Son to ride a couple of challenges and then lay it on a plate to him. Still had a lot to do, but the great players make it look easy. We talked about Kane doing that time and time again. And that's another thing, a game where Kane doesn't have an assist or a goal to his name, which, bearing in mind that he normally does in every other game, he's due a day off, isn't he? Although he looked quite annoyed, I thought, throughout, but I think that's more annoyed with himself, thinking he should have scored rather than anything else. But yeah, Bale's second goal. But I think the keeper probably moved slightly before makes his mind up, but he took the touch to his left so that whoever the defender was, forgive me, I can't remember who it was, couldn't get anywhere near him and made it look easy. Third one, again, made it look easy. Lovely layoff from Serge. And then Bale does the rest. Then we come to VAR. I mean, the reasoning for some of the decisions is absolutely bizarre. I'm not so much annoyed about the offside goal, Son's offside goal, because that's not VAR. That's a stupid rules that need to change, which whether they will or not, I don't know. But the issue that I've got, as I'm sure you can imagine, is the foul and Fleck's stamp on Lo Celso's head when he's on the floor. And whether it was intentional or not, I would assume it's unintentional because that's a horrible thing to do. So let's go with the facts it's unintentional. But every challenge where someone gets sent off for tackling from behind. Let's talk about West Ham, actually. The guy who got sent off against Chelsea when he's kicked the ball. And then because his foot's in the air and the Chelsea guy's gone to him, it's grazed his leg and he's gone down. I mean, he didn't mean that at all. but he's gone off for endangering endangering an opponent. And you get that all the time for a tackle from behind where the follow through of the leg goes into the player from behind. They get sent off for that, endangering a player. But yet someone stamping on someone's head, whether it's intentional or not, is not deemed as endangering a player. He's got studs in the side of his head. And then to not even get a yellow card or anything. I mean, we've had this twice against Sheffield United now with Oliver Norwood elbowing Son last year away from home. And that didn't even get looked into. It's just absolutely bizarre, really. So, yeah, I mean, God knows who's reviewing all of this stuff, but there's supposed to be referees who understand the game, but he stamped on his head. On his head. And he doesn't even get anything, where someone next week will get sent off for something that's endangering a player, which literally is a graze. But, I mean, yeah, just absolutely stupid, really. Absolutely stupid. And then we come on to Dele. It was Dele's return. Whether he delivered or not, did Dele deliver? I think the first half he played quite well. He looked to be playing a little bit deep to me. So you expect Dele to get on the end of things and cause problems in the final third, but he looked to me to be playing a bit deep. But then you've also got to remember this is a season where he's hardly played. He's had little bit parts. He's played in Europe against weaker teams. But in the Premier League, he's still getting used, I think, to certainly how Kane plays differently now and Son. You've got Bale in there as well. He hasn't really played, so his match fitness won't be up there. So, excuse me. So I think he played well considering. I thought second half he kind of went off the ball, but that could just be tiredness because, like I say, he hasn't played really for any amount of time. First half, he had a shot in the first half which went straight to Ramsdale, but you can see there the confidence just hasn't disappeared. Whether he's played, whether he hasn't, the confidence is still there. And Mason said, didn't he picked him because his performances in training earned him a place. So he's obviously not given up. He wants to play. He's putting some effort in, which was the big criticism earlier in the year that Mourinho in the documentary said he's lazy in training. So whether that's had an effect, I don't know. But yeah, I think if Dele was there just not looking like he didn't care, then that's a big problem. But he didn't at all to me. He was putting himself about, making runs, challenging, having shots. So I think if he gets a run of games now, and Mason or whoever the new manager is next season, we'll talk about that in a bit, can find a place in the team for him like Pochettino did that suits him, I think we could find the Dele of old coming back as well at some point. Aurier, the assister, he's had a lot of critics, and rightly so, I think, in terms of some of his defending, which has been absolutely atrocious. And Sheffield United, let's be honest, didn't really cause us any problems, really. They got behind a couple of times, and like I've said, Bruce Dormer-Goldrick, it didn't look like they were interested in getting in the end of it, and in the end, either one of the defenders snuffed it out or it went safely to lorries. But going forward, Aurier, I don't think has ever been a problem, really. He's not Walker or Trippier level, but he has got some good crossing ability on him. And the ball for Bale for his first goal, that's, you don't associate that kind of pass with him, the look up and see where the run is and then put it to that run for him to run onto. So you don't normally see that. And, and Bale, before he'd finished celebrating, was pointing to him as a thank you for the goal. And then the third goal, it would have been easy for him to try and do something clever there. I think we were 3-0 up at the time. And Son scored before that, I'm not sure. I think he had. I think it was 3-0 at the time, but even if it was 2, it was fairly cruising. So it'd have been easy for him to try and have a shot, put a cross in, take someone on. But no, easy ball, put it into Bale's path, and then another goal. So I think He gets a lot of critics, rightly so. Rightly so. But you have to give him credit when he's done something good here, which he has. So he deserves a lot of credit for that. In the league, 2 out of 2 for Mason. 6 goals scored, 1 conceded. Obviously, the Carabao Cup final was a huge disappointment, but the fact that we're making a big decision about it and taking ages, I don't think it's beyond the realms if he can do well in the next 4 games that we could have manager Mason for next season, which I don't think we should. I think he's 29, first job in management. You look at what happened at Tim Sherwood. Tactically, he wasn't there at all. All the big teams we got absolutely battered by because he tried to take them on as he would against one of the weaker teams. It's completely different. Weaker teams, you have the majority of the ball, you dictate the play, and they play on the counter attack. Stronger teams, which we out of the big 6, we were nowhere near the top of that. So you needed to play a different way. I would imagine now if Sherwood came back, he'd have learned a lot from that and would be a lot more tactically astute. But I think Mason could be in the same vein there and a little bit out of his depth too early on. I think he either needs to go somewhere in a lower league to be a manager, to kind of earn his stripes, if you will, or be the assistant to whoever the manager is that comes in to learn that, and then he can go manage. But, he seems to have got the players playing, certainly in the league against the weaker teams. We won't go into the City game because that was I did that last week, 25 minutes, and I can't talk about it again. So certainly in the league. And these games here, this Sheffield United game under Mourinho would have been 1-0 up or 2-0 up and then go sit back for the entire game, let them come on to us, and then they possibly score a goal, and then it's a bit nervy for the rest of it. But it didn't happen here. It was still go and get more goals, go and get more goals, go and get more goals, which is the way Tottenham historically have played and the way that us fans love to see us play, not sitting back and being ultra defensive. I can understand being ultra defensive against the Cities, the Liverpools, the Uniteds and so on. But make sure you have a bit of a cutting edge going the other way and a bit of a attacking prowess going the other way. So it's not just, I wouldn't mention it again, like the final. But yeah, against the weaker team, you look at Palace, when we were 1-0 up, Wolves when we were 1-0 up, countless others where Mourinho just sat us back, or the players decided to sit back. So that leads me to think that it was Mourinho doing that, or his ultra-defensive approach has made the players it's kind of a flip of the switch that they've decided, we have to sit back now and be defensive. Whereas Mason, it's switched round. So now it's go and attack, go and attack, go and attack, which is much more what we want to see. And then we come on to the other managers. It's just gone on and on and on and on and on. Ten Hag has now signed another deal. What strikes me as odd is Rodgers has said he doesn't want it, but yet we're adamant we're trying to go for it. Which strikes me as odd. I did see something interesting on Twitter with some guy saying that the way Levy will see it is that Leicester are the biggest threat to us getting in that European Super League if it comes again, or into the top 6. So he's trying to derail them by getting rid of their manager, who he values as quite good, which I'm not really sure what I believe on that, to be honest. My dad always thinks money will talk, so if we really want Rodgers, he'll come. But I'm sure Rodgers has already said he'd never work for Levy. So I'm not really sure about that. But Martinez is one that's been rumoured. Good God almighty. Please don't let us get Martinez. Everton, I think he managed, and Wigan. The guy can't defend. He doesn't, he might be all right with if he stays Kane, Bale and Son, but, they have an off day, which strikers generally do every now and then. He can't defend. I'm not a fan of his at all. My other question would be is if Jose can't get Levy to change his mind and change his ways in terms of, letting the manager choose the players, getting the players that the manager wants, keeping his nose out. If Jose can't get him to change his mind there, what hope is there for anybody else? The guy's won 20-odd trophies. That's why he was brought in. And he couldn't get him to change his mind. So what hope is there for anyone else? Because anyone else doesn't have the resume that Jose has. I still have baffled why he was fired 6 days before the final. Absolutely flabbergasted about that. And I can only assume, like Simon Jordan said on TalkSport, it's to save Levy some money when he sacks him. But yet he goes onto that documentary and says he cares about success, and that's why he brought Mourinho in. So he's just, if that's true, he's just completely lied to an entire fan base. But are we surprised with Levy anymore? No. But yeah, will anything change with the new manager? I don't think it will. Like Jose couldn't get him to change. I think it will just be the same old cycle again and again and again. And we'll be doing this for the rest of time as long as Levy's there. It would just be work with what you got. We can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. Work with what you got. Our results haven't been that good. Get out. We'll get someone else in. Rather than getting the players that the manager wants. And you know, I think Levy's ego is just so huge, and I think that's a major problem. Who else has been linked? Ragnick from, I think he's Leipzig's sporting director. I don't really know too much about him, to be perfectly honest. But as I said, I mean, maybe controversial, but Potter would be my pick, as Ben, who was on here a few weeks ago, said to me time and time again that he reckons he'd be a good fit for us. And for those saying, yeah, but they're really low to the bottom of the league and blah, blah, people forget that Pochettino, when he took over, his Southampton team weren't exactly fighting for European places, and they were considered a small team then. And I remember at the time I wasn't enamoured by the Pochettino manager coming in, but I stand massively corrected now and held my hands up at the time. But you know, he came from a club that was deemed smaller and not as successful, and then he transformed us. So you know, just because a team are near the bottom doesn't mean the manager's any good. But you look at Brighton, they play lovely football. They just don't have anyone to stick it in the back of the net. Like I said last week, if they had Danny Ings, they'd be pushing for European places at the moment, I think. This Europa Conference or whatever the hell that is. But yeah, I think that's who I'd go for. Out of everyone that's available, obviously, if Guardiola was available, you go for him, even though I'm not a massive fan of his. But out of all the ones that are available and that we could get, Potter for me. So who have we got next? We've got Leeds next. Hopefully we can get a win there. That'll be tricky. They're safe now, still flying high, full of confidence. Bamford scoring goals still, so that'll be tough. But I still think we can win that. I'm a glutton for punishment. I always think we can win every game, regardless of where we are in the league or who we're playing. I think we can win every game, and then when we don't, it's an even bigger blow, really. But yeah, so hopefully we can win that and give ourselves something cheerful for the end of the season, and you know, something to be cheerful about, and look forward to next year and the Euros. Leeds, Villa, I think Leicester, which, I mean, if results go away and they drop points and we can win games, that could be a huge game. But I think that's clutching at straws, really. But first things first, let's beat Leeds.
Thanks so much for watching. Before you go, please make sure you give the like and subscribe buttons a click. Any questions, comments, or any suggestions for future episodes, if you just add those into a comment on the YouTube video. If you're listening to the audio only podcast, thanks so much for listening. Anyone who wants the audio only podcast, you can get that at Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter at LTalkTottenham, you can find all the information there. I'll be back soon. Until then, come on, you Spurs!